another trade that is going to happen, but hasn't happened yet. Jakob Chychrun with the Coyotes. This is a whole thing within itself. I mean, because he knows he's getting traded. He got healthy scratch the other night for trade-related reasons. At first, it was Brandt Clarke of Carolina going the other way, or was it LA? I don't remember.
It's LA.
It is LA. Yeah. And then I saw another tweet saying Brandt Clarke has been informed he won't be traded. That hasn't stopped the player from being traded before. That happened with JT Miller and the Rangers. Just saying, just because a player's been told they're not getting traded doesn't mean that they're not getting traded. It could very well still happen. But yeah, this has been a player that has been on the trade block for a while. And now it finally looks like the trigger is about to be pulled on a trade.
Yeah, it does. And, I like the fit in LA, to be honest with you. The Kings are one of those teams that could really use a number one defenseman. And alongside Drew Doughty, I feel like Jakob Chychrun could very well be the future of that blue line in LA. And I think it's also very interesting to see the team that they're talking to about this potential trade, that being the Arizona Coyotes. What about Karel Vejmalka as well? The LA Kings, more than they need a defenseman, they need a goaltender too. So I think it could be a little bit of a 2-for-1 package where they get a top 4 D-man and they get a starting goaltender. And you know what? I would have some interest in Karel Vejmalka, in a Jakob Chychrun trade if I'm Rob Blake of the Los Angeles Kings. And if it means up giving Brandt Clarke, that's something I do. I think Clarke is a really, really solid prospect. I mean, hey, he put up eight points in 7 games in the World Juniors playing with Canada. And with the Barrie Colts, he's got 10 goals, 16 assists, 26 points in 15 games. He's an offensive defenseman. He's somebody, with a lot of draft stock when he was selected. And I think it would be a really nice piece for Arizona moving forward. But I think, LA's got to be willing to move the necessary prospects to make the deal done. And it looks like they got a little bit gun shy once this trade got towards the finish line.
Yeah, Vejmelka is actually not a bad goalie. He's actually a pretty decent goalie. I mean, his career save percentage is .901, but look at the team in front of him. Yeah, look at the team. No, he's been a pretty decent goalie, especially this season, considering where they were at. So much so that I almost drafted him in fantasy. So I don't just give a blind thought of drafting an Arizona goalie in fantasy. The guy's got to be halfway decent. But besides the fact, he's pretty good, and I could definitely see LA trying to go after him in a trade as well.
Right. And, of course, don't want to speculate as to what other teams could be interested in Jakob Chychrun, but I think, any team in playoff position that has the cap flexibility to make that move happen would be. And for LA, it's kind of, do you want to push the envelope or not? It's much like the Rangers, a young team that doesn't have necessarily a lot of playoff experience. You have 2 goaltenders in Cal Petersen and Phoenix Copley and Jonathan Quick for that matter as well. But yeah, I think at this point, Jonathan Quick just might be a little bit over the hill, to be honest with you. Again, he's one of the greatest American goaltenders of all time. He's a surefire Hockey Hall of Famer. But at this point, the Kings are kind of ready to take that next step out of their rebuild. And I think a new goaltender is really going to help that, because now they're working for a 3-man tandem of Cal Petersen, who once had success with LA, but he's been one of the worst goaltenders, if not the worst goaltender in the entire National Hockey League statistically this season. Phoenix Copley, who has performed admirably, coming in and helping out, but again, he's not an NHL caliber goaltender. The last time he was in the NHL was with the Washington Capitals, serving as the backup to Braden Holtby, and even since then, a majority of his starts have been in Hershey in the American Hockey League. So I'm just not entirely sure if this 3-man group is going to lead the Kings in a Western Conference where they have a shot. They have a chance. If they add a Jakob Chychrun and they can add a Karel Vejmalka, I wouldn't take it off the table of the Kings having a nice run. And, we know how many times the LA Kings have squeaked themselves into the playoffs with a team not really a lot of expectations under them, and they have gone and won the Stanley Cup. Of course, 2014 and 2012. So, yeah, I think it's a move that they should make. Brandt Clarke is a really good prospect, but regardless of whether Chychrun becomes a King or not following the trade deadline, a new goaltender is a necessity. So I hope that's something they address.
Yeah, this is going to be something very much to keep an eye on. And knowing our luck, it will happen probably 5 minutes after we stop recording.
Hey, that would be pretty cool, right? Because we're predicting it right now.
Yeah.
Like no trade has been announced, and if Karel Vejmalka somehow gets attached to Jakob Chychrun in a trade for picks and prospects to the LA Kings, we look like geniuses. But then of course you'll have people who said, oh, you definitely recorded right after the trade, and
We didn't.
we didn't. This is being recorded at 3:10 Eastern time on February 13th. So if Vejmalka gets traded to the Kings at 3:45, we had it first.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody does say that, oh, you recorded after, it's like if we recorded after, we'd be talking about the trade that happened, not what happened beforehand.
Precisely.
So
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.